All right, we're mixing things up today. I'm doing a Heat pregame show from Hard Rock Stadium where the Dolphins just won, so they're 7-7 on the season. The Miami Heat, of course, are 18-12. They're in Detroit tonight, or at least half of them are. We're going to go through who's playing and who's not with Brady here in a second. We do not have a watch party tonight. We postponed that because of COVID circumstances, but we will have another one soon. We cannot be blamed for tonight's result, though, which is a good thing. We're sponsored, as always, by our friends over at Biscayne Bay Brewing. You can find Biscayne Brewing here at the actual stadium. I saw it today. You also can find it at FTX Arena. You can get the Pastime Pilsner, the Tropical Bay IPA, all the other great beers, the Marlins Lager, they're the official beer of the Marlins, and also of 5 Reasons Sports, and also our friend Sean Rochester, who's here. You might find him on that account occasionally, so check out the Biscayne Bay Brewing Twitter account. We're also sponsored by friends over at MarkBrownPA.com. Mark is a good friend of the program. He's based here in South Florida, big Miami sports fan. Also, he can help you get your life in order. He can do your estate plan for you. Reach out to Mark at Mark Brown. It's at MARC, BrownPA.com, based right in North Lauderdale, just north of Cypress Creek Boulevard, off of Andrews Avenue. Also, he's got a title company in-house, so if you're closing on a property, he is the guy to reach. Particularly, you don't really trust the other side of the deal. I can tell you I had that situation, and Mark did a great job for me. So reach out to MarkBrownPA.com, again, based here in North Lauderdale. All right, let's get to the crew. We've got Jonathan Rommelkun coming off his first coverage of a game up in Orlando, covered the Magic and Heat for us. We've got Greg Sylvander. We've got Brady Hawk. We've got filling in for Ricky J. Mark, who is currently, I think, sending 6,000 DMs on our internal strings as we speak, is Sean Rochester. You can follow Sean at S. Rochester NBA and also on that Biscayne Bay account. So, Brady, let's get to it. In Detroit tonight. This is the first of 8 straight, second of 9 games against teams that currently don't have winning records, okay? The best record of any team that they face here over the next 8 is Washington is 15-15. Should be a win tonight, but who's in and who's out?
Yeah, it's basically the same, guys. The only difference is Tyler Hero might be playing because he's listed as questionable right now. He's going to go through his warm-ups, Spoelstra said, and they're going to make a decision from there. I don't see a reason why he should play. Like, it feels like this is a game where you kind of let him get one more night off. I think Detroit, 14 games in a row that they've lost, something crazy like that. Like, this isn't a game that you try to rush Tyler back in any way. If he's questionable now, I don't think they should push it. The same thing with Marcus Garrett. He's also going through his warm-ups. That's another circumstance. And then obviously on Detroit's side, they pretty much have been healthy with the health and safety protocols all around. The only difference is they don't have Jeremy Grant because it's pretty much a Bam situation. Same type of injury, 4 to 6 weeks. But they're generally healthy, just talking about the roster that they have around them.
I thought it was interesting when the Jeremy Grant injury was announced, everybody said minimum of 6 weeks, yet it's the same injury as the Bam injury, which everyone said 4 to 6. So we're holding to our prediction that it's going to be longer than that 4 to 6 that was originally talked about with Bam. But, Greg, what is the significance of what Strus and Vincent have done in particular here? Because, I mean, again, you're playing against teams that have first-round picks on their roster. Like, they may be bad teams, but they still have highly regarded players that Max Strus and Gabe Vincent are outplaying on a consistent basis. And actually, Caleb Martin was too before he went out with the protocols.
So it does 2 things. And but before I say those 2 things, I just want to mention that I'm reading through the game notes for this. Do you know that Detroit, they've tied a franchise records for most consecutive losses in a row. So they're going for a record they do not want to hold tonight. And I hate that for the Heat. But anyway, that's besides the point. Strus and Gabe and seeing them step up, it's done 2 things. One, it's shown us that we're a little deeper. And I think we've all belabored that point that we've got guys that we maybe can flex into a 9th man spot in a rotation and feel better about it. But this is the other thing it has done, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how much you like transactions. You may find that a player could become expendable all of a sudden, and you may have more flexibility to look around the league and see what may make sense in terms of offers if you have players that can produce at a similar level at a fraction of the cost. So we'll see how that plays out come February. But ultimately, I think it's all positive that you're finding guys that are more viable as contributors on a winning team.
All right, I'm going to go to Sean on something related to that in a second. So I'm just hold the thought. We're going to talk Duncan and Strus here with Sean because I'm going to be a little provocative here on the pregame show. But before we are, I want to get to Jonathan because you were in the building the other night. We know that Orlando is one of those places that has all Heat fans. It's just always been like that. Orlando, Brooklyn, Washington, D.C. sort of lead the league in that. But just what was the reaction to Strus and Vincent in that building, and particularly Strus? It just feels, I don't know, the Heat fans seem to have a certain reaction to him.
Yeah, they were absolutely going nuts. After he hit the third one, we were just going insane. And luckily, I probably shouldn't say this, but me and Michael were the only people in that area for press row, so there was no one around us, so we were allowed to cheer. So
whoa! You should have told me that. If I had seen it, I wouldn't know about it.
We might have reacted a little bit, right? I might have been, hit a little Tiger Woods golf celebration there when he hit a couple threes, but nothing more than that, of course, right?
I didn't let Alex and Alf cheer when Hero hit the shot against Philadelphia, okay? Wow. And they had to do it behind my back, so just keep that to yourself next time. Continue.
But overall, it was, definitely more Heat fans than Magic fans in the building for sure. When he was making the threes, I thought they were saying, Magic fans were going into boos. It was actually them saying Strus, right? And just continuing to egg him on. And he was just going absolutely berserk. And then in that third quarter where Gabe Vincent had 18 points, it was the same reaction. Every time he was making a shot, everybody was going absolutely wild. And it was just a great environment overall. Like you said, there's a couple of places that when Miami visits, they're essentially the home team because they have more fans in those areas than more of the home team. So it was one of those situations, and it was fun to see, especially on a road game where, you're playing a depleted team. You can have an RSHK come out for you from anywhere, and we were able to finish off and get it closed out strong.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll see it in Detroit tonight. I think we'll just see empty seats, to be honest. I've never really noticed Detroit to be a place where the Heat fans come out in force, but who knows? But let's pivot in. And you mentioned Strus. I was just at a stadium where they were yelling Duke the whole time, so there was a little bit of that. But Sean, let's get to it because I know that you've kind of been anointed as the Duncan Robinson defender on Twitter, and I'm expecting a Duncan game here. I mean, they were just at Michigan yesterday. I mean, there ought to be a Duncan game. But give us a reason why, because I think what Greg is hinting at is that, right? Like Strus may be making someone like Duncan expendable in a trade. Give me a reason why he shouldn't be.
I mean, ultimately, he's the vehicle salary-wise to put in a trade. Like, he's the number. You don't have any other salaries to trade. So I think that's why his name gets mentioned, and I think that makes sense. But I just think, he's rebounding back to his normal averages. He's back to around 42, 43% over the last 6-7 games. He's shooting more twos than he was before. His games looked a little bit better. And I think Brady can probably, pop into that too because he's done that on his breakdowns. But he's really diversifying his game. Even though he's always going to be three heavy, he's doing different things.
Brady, let's get to this a little bit more specifically again, because I think this is what's going to be the end result of this Strus-Vincent time, is that we're going to be saying, okay, once everybody's healthy, how do you take these two guys, and maybe Martin to a degree, and just sort of shelve them until the next necessary opportunity where there's really nobody else to go to? I mean, what do you see as their role? If everybody's healthy, what are their roles, the two of them?
That's the question, because I think if you're talking about health, you're throwing Victor Oladipo in there as well, because he's going to be in there as well. I think the starters would probably stay the same. You're talking about Tyler being in there, Victor being in there, Dedmon's playing at an unbelievable level that you're going to need your backup center. And they trusted Markieff Morris a lot before he got injured. Like, we cannot skip over that. As much as they trusted Gabe Vincent here or there, they've trusted Markieff as well. So that's 9 already. Like, where you're talking about these 3 guys to plug in, it feels like they're just going to be the sparks in a playoff game where you need to throw them in. I think you see 10-man rotations late in the regular season. I don't think they're going to be afraid to go there. But once the playoffs come around, I just don't see a way they're going to expand the rotation. If anything, they're going to go to an even smaller rotation. Who do they go with among the 3? That's going to be the question, because I don't even think there's a definitive one among the 3. Maybe matchup-wise, if they need a little bit more defense off the bench, you go with Vincent. Maybe if you need a guy to kind of go to the rim a little bit more, you go with Caleb. And then obviously the shooting, if Duncan's playing poorly, you go with Strus. So it just seems like they have options. I know that's a good thing most of the time, but obviously for Spoelstra, it's going to be decision time come playoff time.
I don't know why we don't have the Royal block here on this show. I thought I mentioned that to be instituted. Good to see Royal stepping in. Greg, let's sort of look forward a little bit. You have this stretch where you really don't play anybody. I mean, I was stunned going through the schedule. I knew it was bad in terms of the level of opponents, but now that Washington has kind of crashed back to earth, there's not a single 500 team that you play over the next 3 weeks, essentially, until you get to Golden State. I mean, that's pretty much it. What is reasonable expectation? I mean, I think Jimmy's coming back for the game on Tuesday. That's what I'm hearing. Morris isn't far off. Martin is going to be out of the protocols. You're going to have a pretty full roster compared to what you've had, and you're not playing anybody. I mean, shouldn't this be where we start, to see them pad wins and maybe get up to second in the East?
Yes. So remember all that stuff I was talking about, like while Jimmy and Bam are out, like let's just stay 500. We are officially moving the goalposts. And it has to do with the fact that they look a lot better. And now they've gotten through the part of the schedule in December that I thought they were going to have some, a rough stretch through. God, that Philly victory was sweet. Anyway. So yes, they're 6 games above 500. I would say let's tack on 2 more to that at least by the end of this. And I know that probably when you look at the schedule, you would expect me to say, oh no, they should win all these games. But to think that they're going to win, 13 of their next 14 or something like that, or whatever it would come out to be if they ended up running the table throughout December, I don't know that that's realistic, but they do. I mean, they have duds on the schedule. And this was the other thing that really, as I was reviewing notes before we jumped on here, do you know that the Heat are now 4th in 3-point field goal percentage in the league now? Like, to me, like that is almost more reassuring than them winning these games and having this easy stretch, is that like the things we thought we'd see are starting to actualize finally.
Well, the reason for that, Jonathan, it seems to me I have a couple of things. One, you got increased playing time for Strus. Vincent has adjusted. Sean and I did that interview with him before the season where he talked about, and Brady did a sit down with him where we talked about the idea that he took some time to adjust to his mechanics. It appears that he has. Lowry and Robinson, as Sean mentions, Robinson's numbers are starting to normalize. Lowry's shooting 38% from 3 over the past month. So that number has started to normalize. I mean, we're getting to the point now, as to Greg's point, where this idea of Bam and Jimmy not being able to shoot from the perimeter, Bam not wanting to, and Jimmy not particularly proficient at it, doesn't matter again if you're going to be getting 35% plus 3-point shooting from basically 6 different guys.
Yeah, to your point there, I mean, even PJ Tucker, I think he's top 8 or top 6 in percentage for 3-point percentage, and he's hitting almost. It feels like every time he has a corner 3 that is going in. And it was almost like when Duncan was on fire the last 2 years, and when he put it up, you felt like it was going in. That's what you have when PJ Tucker's shooting the ball, and that's the guy that's playing directly next to Bam. And to Sean's point as well, Duncan Robinson is starting to correct some of that early season struggles that he's having, and he's starting to get into midseason form. And then now you have some extra shooters, right? Gabe Vincent, he's starting to hit the shots that he was in G League, right? Those shots are translating a little bit better over now. Max is always going to be ignitable. He's one of those guys that once he hits one, the basket just becomes very wide open for him. So, and even Caleb Martin, before he went out, he was hitting a little bit more threes than you would expect from him as well. So we have a lot more shooters than I think we anticipated coming in. I think we thought only Hero and only Duncan was coming in, and maybe Strus. People were, hyping up a little bit, but I think we, come during the season, we've developed a lot more shooters, right? PJ Tucker has become a knockdown shooter.
Dwayne
Dedmon, right? He's 60 or 70% on the season? Absolutely nuts. So we just have so much more shooters than we thought we have. And I think we have to give a big credit to Coach Spo, because he's the one that's putting these guys in the spots to make these shots. And, if they were taking shots that they weren't comfortable with, they wouldn't be making them. So he's, shout out to Coach Spo for putting him in the right position to make those shots as well.
I'll always say this about Eric. He prefers coaching a roster like this than a full roster. I've never understood why Eric doesn't go coach in college. You see the way he was with the Michigan guys yesterday? Like, he loves developing players. I know. Well, if he goes to coach there, then Jawad comes down, I guess. So I guess that's how that thing works out. But no, he prefers that watching players develop than he does when he has expectations of a full roster. Like, I almost think for Eric, like, getting a 12-man rotation is going to be a pain in the ass for him, because he's got to figure out some of these guys have kept this team afloat. You mentioned Strus, Vincent, Martin, Dedmon to a degree, and they're either going to be cut out of the rotation or their minutes are going to get cut. And I feel like that's a harder thing from him on a personal level than it is figuring out how to win with 8 guys. All right, let's finish here. And again, you go to Prize Picks, use the code 5 FIVE if you want to get in on anything. Yeah, that's right. I mean, he seems to excel. That's right. Absolutely. Let's go to Sean and Brady on this. All right. I know everybody's picking the Heat tonight. I want each of you to come up with one way this thing can go sideways tonight. Like when we're coming back here, there's a post game tonight, and everybody's like, well, how the hell did that happen? Sean, give me a way that happens.
Well, to your point about the 3-point shooting, I found this before I got on with John Jablanca. He tweeted this out. When the Heat shoot below league average. So 34.8 is league average. When they're below league average, they are 4-9. When they're above it, 14-3 in December, 5 wins, 46%, and in the losses, 33%. So if you don't shoot well from 3, there's your point. You can't make up the talent gap with this group. So I would say poor shooting. Kelly Olynyk's not healthy, right?
No.
That would be the way, right?
He would be the guy. Yeah, he would be my guy. But no, he's not. He's unfortunately not out there. But no, seriously though, poor shooting I think would be the problem.
All right, Brady. By the way, that $4.99 is going to be spent on the Kentucky Fried Chicken sandwich on the way home, Royal. I really appreciate that. There's one right before I hit the turnpike. Brady, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say I think many people are going to look at this game later when Saddiq Bey goes off and they're going to call it random scrub beat killer. But he's been doing this all season. He's going through games where he's just scoring the ball at an elite level. I think the way it goes wrong is you don't put PJ Tucker on him to start this game. I don't think Saddiq Bey can beat you in any way by himself, but don't let him get hot early. And I think you just cannot go to these zones too often against a team like this because we've seen them in the past. They can get hot. And I don't know if it was the game early this season or the one last season where they just kind of went crazy from 3 in the first half. You just kind of can't let that happen. But I think if you do, this is a smaller lineup right now, especially without Jeremy Grant. You can put PJ Tucker on Saddiq Bey. And ultimately, I just don't think they can survive that.
I got one more that's driving me crazy. Turnovers. That could kill us because every game, it seems like even Orlando and Philly in wins, that was just the sloppy play.
Can I whisper something? If Tyler's not playing, you're probably better off in that area. But anyway, let's see. I think we all want to see Tyler back on the court, but he was to blame for a lot of that kind of sloppiness. So it may be better off. I almost feel like we better if Tyler doesn't play today and they run this group out here one last time. And then come back, and Eric has 24 hours to figure out, okay, who's in, who's out, who are we rolling with on this homestand, as opposed to trying to kind of force Tyler back into this mix today. I would just roll with what they got, honestly. I think, like all of you say, I think it's enough. All right, go to prizepicks.com, use the code 5. By the way, for those of you who are Canes fans, we're releasing a shirt here in about 20 minutes on the website. Go to 5reasonsports.com. You'll want to check that out. And I just teased another Heat shirt that's going to be up here in the next 24 hours as well. See if you can figure it out. It's 3 letters. Thanks to Brady. Thanks to Greg. Thanks to Jonathan. Thanks to Sean. Catch Post Up 5 hours as soon as the game ends. Faces,